Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 9, The Appearance of Demon Vritrasura, verse number 34. It's a continuous lines, this verses. Duravabodha ivatavayam vihara yogo yad asharano asharira idam manavikshitasmat samavaya atmaneva vikriyamanena Sagunamaguna srijasi pashi harasi. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. O Lord, you need no support, and although you have no material body, you do not need cooperation from us. Since you are the cause of the cosmic manifestation and you supply its material ingredients without being transformed, you create, maintain, and annihilate this cosmic manifestation by yourself. Nevertheless, although you appear engaged in material activity, you are transcendental to all material activities. Consequently, these transcendental activities of yours are extremely difficult to understand. Purport. The Brahma Samhita 5.37 says, Goloka eva nivasatya khilatma bhutaha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is always situated in Goloka Vrindavan. It is also said, Vrindavanam parityajya padam ekam na gacchati. Krishna never goes even a step from Vrindavan. Nevertheless, although Krishna is situated in his own abode, Goloka Vrindavan, he is simultaneously all-pervading and is therefore present everywhere. This is very difficult for a conditioned soul to understand. But devotees can understand how Krishna, without undergoing any changes, can simultaneously be in his abode and be all-pervasive. The demigods are understood to be various limbs of the Supreme Lord's body, although the Supreme Lord has no material body and does not need anyone's help. He is spread everywhere. Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyakta murtina. Bhagavad Gita 9.4. Nevertheless, he is not present everywhere in his spiritual form. According to the Mayavada philosophy, the Supreme Truth, being all-pervasive, does not need a transcendental form. The Mayavadis suppose that since his form is distributed everywhere, he has no form. This is untrue. The Lord keeps his transcendental form, and at the same time, he extends everywhere in every nook and corner of the material creation. So, this is a verse that has been spoken by all the Devatas, glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Krishna has appeared after the prayers, humble and eager and fervent prayers of the Devatas. The Devatas prayed to the Supreme Lord to appear to help them in their battle with the demons. Vritrasura had appeared, a huge demon. It appeared that he's going to swallow the entire, it's the end of the universe. And so the Devatas were afraid, they didn't know where to go for help. And so they started praying to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, because they knew that it's only Vishnu who can help them now. So they were offering prayers to Lord Vishnu, glorifying his wonderful personality, and Lord Vishnu appears, being pleased by the prayers of the Devatas. And after Lord Vishnu appears, the Devatas again continue their prayers. So prayer before the Lord appeared to call the Lord, and now that the Lord has appeared, again glorifying the Lord, because the Lord has appeared, glorifying his wonderful transcendental qualities, his form, his different things about the Lord. So this is the prayer. So in this prayer, it is said that it is Lord, you appear to be engaged in material activity. We can see Krishna was engaged in so many, it appears to be that he's engaged in all different kinds of activities. Like an ordinary activity it is, material activities, but you are transcendental to all material activities. And so consequently, these transcendental activities of yours are extremely difficult to understand. It is very difficult to manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhe yatatam api siddhanam kaschid mam vetti tatvatha. There's hardly anyone who can understand me as I am, my qualities, my pastimes, very, very difficult. That is why Krishna says that if anybody understands his janma karma, which is all transcendental, then he will get liberated. So here the Devatas are praying, Duravabodha. Duravabodha. Bodha means understand. Avabodha means not understand. And Duravabodha means extremely difficult to understand. If you have understood Krishna, and we are so blessed that Srila Prabhupada has explained these mysterious qualities and pastimes of Lord Krishna in such an easy manner. So here, the glorification that the Devatas are offering to Lord Vishnu are like this. There are 5 words that has been used here to describe Lord Vishnu, who he is. He's Asharanaha, he's Ashariraha, he's Anavekshita, he's Avikriyamanena, and he's Agunaha. Asharanaha means Sharanaha, we are all dependent on someone. Lord Vishnu is our support. Mata Dhata, he's our, we depend on him. But Vishnu, Krishna, is Asharanaha. He is not dependent on anyone else for support. So this is one of the prayers, that you don't depend on anyone. Then Ashariraha. Sharira, we all have a Sharira, but the Lord has no Sharira. And so Prabhupada is translating, without having a material body. So there's another prayer. Then Anavekshita. Anavekshita means he doesn't need anybody. We need the Lord, but the Lord doesn't need anyone, because he's self-sufficient, he's Swarat. Then Avikriyamanena. Avikriyamanena means being transformed. So Lord doesn't transform himself to anything. He always remains the supreme whole. He's always complete. Our bodies are transformed from birth to disease. There are 6 transformations. We take birth, we grow, we remain, we have byproducts, we dwindle, and then we die. So there are 6 transformations. But for the Lord, even when he comes to this material world, in this form, his form doesn't get transformed. He is God, transcendental from birth till the time he disappears. So he's Avikriyamanena. And then he is Agunaha. Agunaha means he is transcendental to material qualities. Guna means qualities, and which is indicating these material qualities. He is Agunaha. He is transcendental to these material qualities. So here, Prabhupada, in the purport, he is explaining that because 2 of them here are Ashariraha and Agunaha. Asharira, Lord is Asharira, and he is Aguna, he has no qualities and he has no material and he has no form. So Prabhupada in the purport is explaining how that people misunderstand Krishna possessing no form, but Lord has a form, he has a transcendental form. That's why he's saying that it is very difficult for a conditioned soul to understand the Lord's transcendental form, but a devotee can understand how Krishna is a personality. And according to the Mayavad philosophy, the supreme truth, being all pervasive, does not need a transcendental form. And the Mayavadis give an example, and Prabhupada is writing in the purport, the example that they give to support their claim, the Mayavadis suppose that since his form is distributed everywhere, he has no form. And the example also Prabhupada explains, suppose you take a piece of paper, and you cut the large piece of paper, and you cut the piece of paper into small pieces, and you distribute it, you take it here, there, then the entire form is gone, the large piece of paper is gone, right? And this is the example that Mayavadis give. But Prabhupada supports it with the scriptures that Krishna, in the Ishopanishad that is mentioned, Om Purnamada, that verse, Purnyasya Purnamadaya Purnam evava shishyate. So God is Purnam, Purnasya Purnam evava shishyate. Evava shishyate means if you take out from the whole another full whole, what will you remain with? Suppose I have this much prasadam, and I eat away all the prasadam. All the prasadam is over, right? So, Purnasya Purnam evava shishyate. Purnasya Purnamad. Purnyasya Purnam Adaya means to remove. From the Purnasya, the Purnam, if you remove, the evava shishyate, the remainder is Purnam. Even though, so that's why Prabhupada always explained this with a beautiful example. 1 minus 1 is 1. 1 plus 1 is also 1. So 1 minus 1 should be 0. But the Lord is so full that he can give away a full thing, but still have the full thing with him. This is the transcendental understanding of Krishna. And how 1 plus 1 is also 1? 1 minus 1 is equal to 1, we understand. This is the Lord's quality. How 1 plus 1 is also 1? 1 plus 1 should be 2. 1 minus 1 shouldn't be 0, it's easy. But how 1 plus 1? That means you're limiting God is less. 1 plus 1 should be more. But no, God is so full, that even though you take out a complete full thing, or even though you add something to the God, he still remains the full. He's so full. It's like in mathematics, infinite plus infinite is still infinite. Because infinite is infinite. There's nothing as infinite plus infinite becomes 2 times infinity. 2 times infinity will be written also as infinity. Right? So this is God. He is full in all aspects. You take out anything from him, he's still full. You add anything to him, he's still full because he was always the fullest. There's nothing fuller than God. So Prabhupada gave very nice logics and explanations to help devotees to understand how God is not impersonal. This is what this prayer is all about, that they are praying, that the Devatas are praying that you are so mystical and so mysterious that it's so difficult to understand. Duravabodhaya. So let's look at some of the examples that Srila Prabhupada gave for us to understand how God is not impersonal, he is a complete personality. First example that he gave, that if you think that God is formless, how can that be? Because we see in this material world everything having wonderful forms. We all have a form. This whole room is filled with form. We have a form. Everything here is full of form. And we all know, we all believe, everyone believes that everything is coming out from God. God is the source of everything. right? There's no denial in this, in any philosophy. So how can a form come out from something which is formless? Because that which is existing now, the form, must also exist in the source. If something is not existing in the source, how can it come in something that is coming out of the source? So we have form, God also must have form. He cannot be formless. And Prabhupada gave an example, just like this electric energy. So the energy is formless, right? So, but from where this energy is coming? The energy is coming from a powerhouse which has a form. There are people working, there are transformers, there are generators, there's wires, and there's so much of machinery, it has a form. So the energy, which is like what Mayavadis say that Lord is formless, he is just energy, but the basis of the energy is the energetic or the form, like the powerhouse. Like the sun rays are formless, but the basis is energetic, the sun, which has a form. This is one argument Prabhupada gives very clear. Then another example Prabhupada gives to explain. We all pray to God. God, please satisfy my desire. Please give me this, please give me that. And when we pray to God, our prayers are answered. We all have an experience. So when our prayers are answered, that means God has heard our prayers. Hearing means you must have ears. How can God hear without ear? If you say formless, how can something formless hear our prayers? It's not possible. It's like when you pray to the sun god, it's not that the rays have heard our prayers and answered. It's the sun god who has heard our prayers and he has answered. Right? So when we are praying, it means God has a form, he has transcendental ears, and like this, he has all forms, he has all parts of the body, but his body is transcendental. Another argument that Prabhupada gives is that, this is there in the purport also, he has no material form doesn't mean that he is formless. And why the impersonalists say that God has no material form? Because we all have experienced that this material form undergoes transformations, birth, death, old age, disease. So if God also has a form, God cannot undergo birth, death, old age, disease because God is transcendental. So because we have a form and we undergo all these transformations, birth, death, old age, disease, how can God have a form? So Prabhupada explains, he does not undergo these transformations because he's transcendental. That is the meaning of transcendental form. His form is not a material form. We have a form, it's called a material form. God has a form, it's called the transcendental form. And that is why it is said, Satchidananda Vigraha. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. Another example that Srila Prabhupada gives is that so why limit the God to having no form? And so they can say, the Mayavadis can say, you are limiting the God by saying God has a form. We are saying they are limiting God, they are saying we are limiting God. Because we are saying God has form, they are saying God has no form. So both is a limitation. Like form and formless, they are two things. So our actual philosophy is God has both. He has a form, a transcendental form, and he is formless also. The formless aspect of God is the basic understanding of God. But the fuller understanding of God is that God is formless. Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavan iti shabdyate. Brahmeti means formless. He is Brahman, like the sunlight. And then, but beyond that, he is a Paramatma. He is that Paramatma sitting inside the heart. And then he is Bhagavan. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, actual understanding is this: he is both form and formless. And Prabhupada explains this also with a nice example. He gives the example of a piece of cloth. Initially, a piece of cloth, say a large 2-meter cloth, it looks like formless. Of course, it has a form, but in one sense, it is wavering around here and there. That is one understanding of the cloth, right? But actually, if you take the cloth and just keep it as a 2-meter cloth, it has no meaning. What will we do with the cloth? We'll go and give it to the tailor, and then he will cut the cloth, and he will stitch a nice shirt for us, a nice kurta for us. And now, the shirt, the kurta, also has a form. Now that formless aspect of the cloth is gone, it has taken on a form. Now, why the kurta has taken on a form? Because we have a form. So if the kurta has a long piece of sleeve, that's because my body has a hand. And so the kurta having a form is indicating that it is being used for something that has a form. It is being used for our material bodies which has a form. So in the same logic, if we go further in the same argument, why do we have a form? Why do we have this hands, legs, and this wonderful form, this beautiful form? Because this form is based on something further inside, like the body is inside the cloth, the dress, inside that is the body, and within the body is a spirit soul. And it is the spirit soul also that actually has a spiritual form. But the only difference is that the spiritual form is so small that we are unable to perceive its form. That it is 1/10,000th the part of the tip of the hair. So when I see the kurta cloth, I say that I also have a form. So similarly, when I have a form, my soul also has a form. And that is why when we go back to the spiritual world, when we take on this, when we also have spiritual bodies, why do those spiritual, and that spiritual body is completely spiritual, because everything there spiritual has a form. So these are the wonderful examples that Prabhupada explains us. And then Arjuna also asks Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna is talking about different aspects. So Arjuna is asking a direct question: Krishna, who are considered to be more perfect? Those who worship you, your personal form, or those who worship your impersonal form? Directly Arjuna is asking Krishna this question in the 12th chapter. And Krishna gives a direct answer: Kleshodhikataras tesham avyakta saksachetasam avyakta hi gatir dukkham deha vadbhir avapyate. Klesho adhikaras tesham avyakta sakta chetasam. Those who are meditating chetasam on the avyakta aspect, on my impersonal aspect. Klesho adhikataras tesham. Klesha means troublesome. Adhikataras, very troublesome it is for them. And he says, avyakta hi gatir dukkham. Gati, to progress in spiritual life, dukkha is very difficult if you meditate on my avyakta form. So these are some of the arguments Prabhupada is giving, and in the purport. And further, Prabhupada is writing in the purport that Lord Krishna, he performs wonderful pastimes. He is pervaded, he is everywhere in his formless part, as a form, he is spread all over the universe, performing wonderful activities with his devotees. But in one place, he eternally stays. Even though he's going to different places and is available everywhere, but there's one place where he permanently stays. And that is, in the purport it is mentioned, in Vrindavan. Vrindavanam parityajya padam ekam na gacchati. Krishna never goes even a step away from Vrindavan. So if you want to experience God, or if you want to have a feel of, Lord Krishna, you can feel him anywhere, you can go anywhere, but Vrindavan is a place which reminds us about Lord Krishna very easily, because that is the place where Lord Krishna appeared 5,000 years ago and performed wonderful pastimes. There are so many temples in Vrindavan. Every year our devotees go to Vrindavan, especially during Kartik, to remind ourselves of the wonderful pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And if somebody is an advanced devotee, he can feel the presence of Lord Krishna everywhere, and especially in Vrindavan, because all the temples, all the wonderful deities, all the wonderful pastime places, Yamuna, Govardhan, and the forests of Vrindavan remind us about Lord Krishna, because Krishna is always staying there. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was in Jagannath Puri, after he took sannyas, after sannyas, 24 years Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed in Navadvip, and the last 24 years he went to Jagannath Puri. In those second half of his 24 years, the first 6 years, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was touring. The first 2 years he toured the South India, and then next he wanted to go to Vrindavan, but somehow he couldn't go. He went to Bengal and he came back. And then his final tour was his tour to Vrindavan. And it is said in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the ecstasy that Mahaprabhu was experiencing when he was in Vrindavan, or when he was even traveling to Vrindavan. Mahaprabhu, when he was in Jagannath Puri, it is said that he was always full of ecstasy and ecstatic love for Krishna. When he went to Jagannath temple for the first time, he fainted in ecstasy. He was always going through different emotions and ecstasies in Jagannath Puri. And then it is said that when he was traveling to Vrindavan, on the way, his ecstasy increased 100 times than the ecstasy that he was experiencing in Jagannath Puri. And we know the story of the Jharikanda forest, where he was so ecstatic that all the animals, the tigers and the deers and the elephants and the snakes, they all came together and they all embraced each other, and they were, Mahaprabhu embraced them, and that was 100 times it increased from Jagannath Puri to the forests while he was traveling. And when he reached Mathura, the ecstasy increased 1,000 times, because Mathura reminded him directly of Lord Krishna. And on the way, whenever he would see a small hill, he would think that to be Govardhan. When he would see forests, he would think that to be Vrindavan forest. When he would see small rivulets or rivers, he would take that to be Yamuna. And so it increased 1,000 times when he reached Mathura, and when he went to Vrindavan, the ecstasy increased 100,000 times. So that is Vrindavan. And that is the place where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is constantly, where Lord Krishna is constantly staying. And it is explained, there are beautiful descriptions of how Mahaprabhu, the feelings that he was going through when he was in Vrindavan. So when Mahaprabhu he took darshan of many temples, and he was chanting and dancing everywhere. And then when he was going to the forests of Vrindavan, on the way he saw a few cows grazing, and all the cows became automatically attracted towards Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And they came and they started licking Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's body. And Mahaprabhu also, out of loving affection, he was caressing them, like how we do, pat the cows. And the cows became so attracted to Mahaprabhu that when Mahaprabhu was walking, the cows were also walking behind him. And cows are quite heavy animals, right? So it is all the cowherd men, they were finding it very difficult to hold the cows, because they're just following Mahaprabhu. And somehow with great difficulty, all the cowherd men could hold the cows and, keep them together. And then further, when Mahaprabhu went, all the deers came to Mahaprabhu, and they were also, full of love, because Mahaprabhu is going through those ecstasies, and so the deers also, they were very much attracted to Mahaprabhu, and they were also with Mahaprabhu for a long time, fearless. And then in the forest, it is described that all the twigs, just like, one of the ecstasy while a devotee undergoes in a very exalted state, these things cannot be imitated, is that hairs stand on the end. It's because Mahaprabhu, while he was visiting the forests of Vrindavan, he was chanting and he was full of ecstasy. So all the twigs of the trees, they also stood up. And small twigs, they all stood up as if the hairs are standing on the edge. And they stood up and they were pouring forth tears of ecstasy in the form of honey. Honey rasa was oozing out of them like tears of ecstasy, and they were standing up. And further it is described that all the trees which were laden with fruits, when Mahaprabhu was visiting Vrindavan, all those trees laden with fruit, all the branches swooped down, because as if offering their obeisances and offering a gift, offering a presentation of ripe fruits to Mahaprabhu. And like this, many beautiful descriptions are there. And but Mahaprabhu, although he was full of ecstasy, and although, this was all the parrots, all the birds, they were all singing, and this is the experience that he was going through. But there are many things that we learn. Mahaprabhu was, so one of the things that when Mahaprabhu went to Govardhan, he wanted to see the Gopala deity. But Gopala deity was on the Govardhan hill. Madhavendra Puri had established it. And because Govardhan hill was is the hill that has been lifted by Lord Krishna, so it is worshipable. So Mahaprabhu did not want to climb the Govardhan hill. So he was wondering, he was meditating, how will I ever have darshan of the Gopala deity, because I will not climb the hill. And the Gopala deity has been installed on the hill. So how will I ever, and like this Mahaprabhu was lamenting. And Gopala deity, he understood Mahaprabhu's mind, and so Gopala made a plan, a trick he played, how to give darshan to Mahaprabhu. So what is the trick that he played? So next day, once Mahaprabhu, when he thought like this, that how will I ever have darshan of the Gopala deity? So next morning, all the villagers, so the Gopala deity on the hill was in an area, that village was called Annakut Gram. There's a village by that name, Annakut Gram. So one devotee came there and he brought a news that very soon the Turkish soldiers, the Muslim kings, the Turkish soldiers, they are going to attack us. And so please leave immediately. This night itself you must all leave, otherwise all of us will be. And leave with the deity. So all the devotees, they became, very too much anxious. So the Turks are going to attack us. It was all a plan made by the Gopala deity actually. Because that time our country was being ruled by the Mohammedan soldiers. So he used that and he played that trick. So all the devotees, they went and they took the Gopala deity and they came down and they went to a place called Ganthuli Gram. And it is there where the Gopala was concealed, hidden. And all the daily worship was happening. One Brahmana was offering all the daily worship. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was having, he was visiting Govardhan, going here. And then finally Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes to know that the Gopala deity has now come down and he's in the Ganthuli Gram. And so he was overjoyed. And Mahaprabhu goes there and he has a very beautiful description is there in the Chaitanya. He goes there and has darshan, and he's so happy the way Lord Krishna reciprocated. For 3 days, Lord Krishna stayed in that Ganthuli Gram. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would go every day and he would have darshan, he would chant, he would dance, he would be so happy, sing kirtans, bhajans. And so this is the trick the Gopala deity played just to give darshan to his devotees. And similar, another instance is there, Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami, when they had become very old and they could not have darshan of the Gopala deity and they were yearning for darshan of the Gopala deity again played the similar trick that the Muslim soldiers are going to attack us. And so what he did, the Gopala deity, he went this time to Mathura in the house of one devotee called Vithaleshwara, and he stayed there for 30 days. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could see, Rupa and Sanatan Goswami could have darshan for 30 days. So here we see that Mahaprabhu was so eager to see Gopala, and Gopala appeared in Ganthuli Gram for 3 days. Rupa and Sanatan were so eager to see the Lord, and the Lord made an arrangement for him to be visible to Rupa and Sanatana in Mathura. In the same way, if we are also eager to see the Lord, we can see the Lord. It is very much possible. In fact, Prabhupada says life is meant for seeing the Lord. Janama safala tar. So one Vaishnava song is there. Bhagye hoye achita. So one song is there where your life is successful if once you can see the Supreme Lord. So here in the prayer also today we are seeing that the Devatas were praying eagerly, fervently for Lord Vishnu's help. And Lord Vishnu came and he gave them darshan. And they are praying. Here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so eager and Gopala came. Rupa and Sanatan was so eager and Gopala came. In the same way, we must also be very eager in our devotional service. And the best eagerness that we can be is, we should be eager for everything, but the most important thing is very eager to chant good rounds. If we are eager to chant good rounds, just like Dhruva Maharaj, he was very eager to chant to see Lord Krishna because he wanted to see Lord Krishna to win a big kingdom. And then Lord Vishnu told Narada, go and give him the real mantra, the real Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Our real mantra is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. He gave him the real mantra. He was eagerly chanting the mantra and the Lord appeared. So we also chant the mantra, Hare Krishna mantra, very eagerly, with enthusiasm, very nicely, hearing every word and doing our services eagerly. We can hope to see the Supreme Lord one day. So this is a process of devotional service. Right now we are on the stage of sadhana bhakti. We should continue very eagerly all our sadhana and always thinking and always feeling that I must do my services so well that Lord gives me darshan. So the Lord has appeared here to all the devatas and they are offering this prayer. The prayers will continue and then further we will see how the Lord helps the devatas to win back their kingdom. We'll close here. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premananda.